In this video, we are going to see the architectural style of software development. Okay, software. Okay, what is this software development architectures? In simple words, in order to create a software, we need to follow certain principles to develop them. So all those codes, programs come under these architectures. One of the traditional system of developing software systems is monolithic architecture. Okay, what is this monolithic architecture? Monolithic architecture is a software design methodology that combines all of an application's components into a single inseparable unit. That means all the codes reside under a single folder that includes front end as well as back end, server side logics, database. Everything comes under a single package or a single application. Under the monolithic architecture, everything, including user interface, business logic, and data access layers, are created and maintained as a single unified unit. Let's see. Okay. This is our application, and this includes everything, all the components. Let's say mm, we have an e-commerce application, so it contains various modules. Okay, let's take here we have products, orders, let's say inventory, and let's include a payment system. Okay, so here everything including products, orders, inventory, payment, all those things comes under a single code or single application folder. Everything related to products will be here in this application. Everything related to orders, inventory, and payments will reside inside this single application. This is what monolithic architecture follows. Why it's preferred? Monolithic is preferred for some reasons. It has its own advantages, including it is very simple to develop. It is very simple to develop, and initial setup is very easy. Okay, so developers can uh, set the application at initial stage in an easier way, whereas there are multiple other architecture systems like microservices where the initial setup is difficult compared to the monolithic application, but both has its own advantages as well as its limitations, where monolithic application is easier to set up and develop and easier to maintain because every code reside under a single application folder. But when it comes to scalability, it becomes really difficult because let's say we have to change something in orders, but if we change something in orders, it will affect the whole application itself, and it should be deployed as a whole unit. Whereas in microservices, if each components will be considered as a single different service, changing or making change in a specific service will not affect the other service. So in that manner, it's really difficult to scale because whole application gets affected by making any changes made in any feature or functionality. So this makes the monolithic application difficult to scale. uh, Even though it has some limitations, still monolithic application is preferred in modern times because of factors like cost effectiveness, because monolithic architectures can be more economical for startups or small to medium sized projects. Implementing microservices or any other architecture for a simple project requires huge complex makes the project huge complex because you have to create a separate service for each features that's going to be very small, and we have to maintain those services separately. We're going Then we need huge resources for that. So for simple and small to medium sized projects, monolithic architecture is preferred because They require simpler deployment settings and less infrastructure overhead. Cost effectiveness, easy to deploy, less infrastructure overhead. Okay. Then another advantage of using monolithic architecture is performance, because everything operating within the same process or under the same folder, it occasionally offer higher performance because there is less communication overhead between components. So the communication between the components is made easy in monolithic application. It doesn't require any special protocol to communicate with other features or functionality. So everything is operating within same process. So it offers higher performance in certain cases due to less overhead, less communication overhead between different components. Mm. So this makes the monolithic application uh, faster in some cases. Another thing is the security. How is monolith application secure uh, compared to other architecture styles in some cases? So here the inter-service communication points are very few. So that may have a reduced attack surface, making it more secure if proper security measures are implemented. So with fewer inter-service communication, it may have reduced attack surface. So this makes more secure. If proper security measures are implemented. So these are the advantages because monolith applications are very simple to develop. Initial setup is very easy. It doesn't require any complex things to start building the application. It's cost effectiveness because it's easy to develop and easy to maintain. It doesn't require many resources, so it makes the monolith application very cost effective, and it is easy to deploy since everything comes under a single code base. It's easy to deploy, less infrastructure overhead. When it comes to performance, under some cases, uh, performance is very high due to less communication overhead between different components. That makes the performance better. When it comes to security, since it has very few inter-service communication, it may have reduced attack surface. This makes it more secure when the proper security measures are implemented. But when it comes to limitations, it is difficult to scale because whole application gets affected when changes made in any particular feature. That's the problem in monolith application. Whenever a change is made in the code, it affects the whole entire application, and whole application needs to be deployed. Okay, let's see the characteristics of the monolithic application. Characteristics of monolithic architecture. Okay, it has single code base. Here, the programs are simpler to manage and implement since all the components are created and maintained in a single code base. Uh, but it has tight coupling. What's tight coupling? The architecture's components, all those features are closely linked because they rely on one another, and they frequently exchange resources and data directly. Since there is no inter-service communication here, the features communicate with each other inside the single code base. That makes the components tightly coupled. Okay. Another characteristics of monolithic architecture is shared memory. Monolithic applications typically share the same memory space, allowing components to communicate effectively without need for network overhead. So the components share the common memory space. Another characteristic of the monolithic application or monolithic architecture is centralized database. So when it comes to database, data storage is centralized within the application using a single database instance for all data storage needs. That means we do not have any separate database for different components. So all those components share the same centralized database. So the data is being stored in a particular database and data is retrieved from the database. So here the database is centralized. Another characteristics of the monolithic application is layered structure. So here, since the code, okay, so the monolithic architecture follows the layered structure with multiple layers, including data access layer, business logic layer, presentation layer. It has many layers. Presentation layer, business logic layer, data access layer. So everything related to the presentation layer will be in the presentation layer itself. And all those business logic will reside under a separate layer, business logic layer or service layer. And all those database related things will reside under this data access layer or repository layer. So let's understand this. Okay. In our case, let's take this example like products, orders, inventory, and payment. Okay. Inside the presentation layer, uh, we have product controller, order controller, inventory controller, and payment controller. All those APIs related things will come under this presentation layer, and all those business logic will come under this business logic layer. We'll have product, service, order, service, etc. And database related things will come under data access layer, like product, repository, order, repository, etc. So this structure is named as package by layer. Another style of package is also available, that's called package by feature. Instead of having every controller class under this presentation layer, we'll have a single feature, like for example, if we have this product here, All those classes related to the product will come under a single folder, like product controller, product service, product repository, and product entity. Everything will come under a single product component. And likewise, we will have another folder, another layer where order related things will come, like order controller, order service, order repository, etc. So, advantage of the package by layer is we can find we can find the layer separately, like every related things uh, for controller we can find inside the controller layer, presentation layer. Every business logic we can find inside the business logic layer, and every database related things we can find under the data access layer. So this is one of the characteristics of the monolithic application. And one more thing, limited scalability. Um, when it comes to scaling, it becomes very difficult since, let's say, in e-commerce application, um, the particular feature needs to be scaled. Let's say product feature needs to be scaled because there's going to be a huge sale with lots of products. But we unfortunately we cannot scale a single feature. We need to scale the entire application, even though we doesn't want to scale overall application. We just need to scale a particular application, like product. We cannot do that in monolithic application. This is one of the main limitations of monolithic style of architecture. Entire application must be scaled at once. Scaling the monolithic application can be really difficult. Higher resource usage. Okay, now let's see the design principles of monolithic application system. Like what are the principles need to be followed? Monolithic architecture. So, when it comes to scaling, it's really difficult in monolithic architecture. So we need to follow the modularity principle. Even though the monolithic application system consists of a single code base, we have to structure the code in a modular way. Separation of concern. So according to this principle, application components should be responsible for separate tasks. Um, so each module should have its own separate task or a single responsibility. So scalability. When developing the monolithic application, we need to have a, proper way of structuring the application in a certain way that scalability should be easy. So architecting the system to support horizontal scaling when necessary. This might involve introducing the asynchronous processing for resource intensive operations, and we need to follow the encapsulation. Its encapsulation is nothing but the process of revealing only the interfaces that are required for interaction. Here we will hide all the core operations of a component. Developers can reduce the dependencies and make code less maintenance by encapsulating the functionality within the clearly defined interfaces. So these are some of the principles, design principles of monolithic application. So there are challenges in deploying monolithic architecture that we can see in the next video. Thank you so much for the